One of the other really neat things that we got to do with the Palestinians was actually meet the head of the Palestinian Liberation Organization there in Beirut, Lebanon. That was a really wild experience there. The first time I met him, I got to meet him twice. The first time was with a group of guys. We were all dressed up in nice suits and things, and we pull up in front of this building, and you could see on like the side of on the little sign on the building, it said PLO. And I thought, oh man, this is wild. So I could tell the rest of the guys there weren't very thrilled about us being there, but they let us pass through and they escorted us in. We went through a series of doors and up some stairs and just various things, but we were eventually led into this room, and it was really wild. You could tell that the door was about this thick, and it probably had some kind of metal detector and stuff on it, but it had like a little release button that he could hit to open the door or allow it to be opened from his chair from where he sat. But he was very, very nice, and just because I'm not sure who's going to be watching this video, I don't want to say his name, but he was very nice, very gracious. He ushered us in, told us to sit down, and we sat around in a little circle, and he just spent time with us. We probably spent maybe 25 or 30 minutes with him. But while we were there, a photographer came in, and we all posed, really nice with him and for pictures and stuff. And then before we left, the same guy came back in with a packet of information, and as I looked in there, it had some information about the PLO, but it also had a nice laminated photograph of all of us with the president. It was really cool. And we also had the opportunity to pray with him as well, not to receive the Lord, but just that the Lord would guide him and direct him, and that he would bless him. And that was a huge step right there. So that was a really cool thing. And he even came to one of our celebrations one night too, and there were several Palestinian guys that actually went down front to give their hearts to the Lord. So it was truly an amazing thing, and it gave me a fresh perspective on where they're coming from, because the Palestinians as a people group, they don't have a home. They have no place to call their own. And I really didn't understand very much about their plight until I had the chance to talk with them. But we actually got to visit. Well, they're allowed to live in Lebanon, but they're not citizens. They can't work legally. They can't legally go to school in any of the Palestinian systems, but they're allowed to live there. But they basically have to live in these small concentration camps. And we had the opportunity to visit one of those camps while we were there. Now, they do have some teachers and people that volunteer, that act as teachers within those camps, so they do have some education, and they're actually pretty bright people. But we got a chance to go into one of those, and it was just neat to see it. I was shocked that they would let a group of Americans go into that place. But again, we were nice. They were nice to us. They welcomed us very warmly. But it was amazing. I had a chance to talk to one of the young ladies over there, and she told me, she said, Chris, she said, there's people that are born, that grow up, get married, and die in those Palestinian camps, and no one even knows that they exist, because there's a lot of them that are born without birth certificates or any kind of records that they exist. So they can be born, live, and die, and no one except the people that they personally know ever even knew that they existed. It's really kind of a sad thing, but it just gave me a fresh perspective on their plight, and just to see really where they're coming from. But it was a neat experience to get to meet them, and I do pray for them, and I believe the Lord is going to do some amazing things in that people group, and I believe that we're going to see many, many Palestinians come to know the love of Jesus Christ and to serve Him with all their hearts.